Hi guys, so this video I want to talk about accepting and even admiring your period. So and why it matters, because with anything, I was gonna say a lot of things, but honestly, with anything in life, when you accept something, it does make it much easier to heal if you keep following down that road, which a lot of people do. If you can get to the part where you accept a situation or an issue in your life, a lot of people, and sometimes it takes a little longer than others, but a lot of people can do the work to get to a place where they're non-reactive or even in admiration of it, right? Like, it taught me this, and that's amazing. So it seems far-fetched. People do it, by the way. There are a lot of us. And it's very important because, and I'll tell you what, if for the biggest reason, we have a field called epigenetics, which, see if I can do this in a nutshell. In a nutshell, they're finding, the studies have shown that basically energy does matter, and in this case, in development. So, for instance, I'll give you a for instance. The type of pregnancy a woman has can dictate the type, I won't say the type of child she has, or can be kind of a foreshadowing, or of like personality traits, I think, of the child maybe is the way to do it. So, for instance, if you do have a very rough pregnancy, or you're stressed even, so maybe the pregnancy itself is fine, but stress from your job or your partner or your family, some outside factors like that, they found that things like that can find that your baby can be very colicky, maybe a little willful, tough to deal with. So there's things like that they're finding out, whereas women that have a very stress-free as possible, healthy pregnancy, easy pregnancy, their babies tend to be, pretty mellow, easy. The kids are easy to work with, you know what I mean, and very accepting. So energy is a real thing. And so it doesn't seem, as humans, we have a hard time seeing this kind of thing. And I see that in my retail job with animals, and I won't go down that rabbit hole. But there are things we just don't, so actually, let me do it real quick. When I'm helping people set up fish tanks, I've tried to find ways to explain why it's best to let a tank sit before you put fish in there. And I get that we don't get it because it's basically the equivalent of the earth evolving. So if you're a creationalist, I don't want to hear it, but this is more of going to be an evolution thing. So if you subscribe to evolution in some fashion, or certain parts, the earth evolved, right? Like, it had to go through all these stages to be able to sustain life. And that's how a fish tank is. And I understand we don't get that, right? Like, if one little teeny iota percentage of something in the atmosphere goes off, like, we can't breathe at all. And that's what it's like. And I understand that we just don't have a concept of that, right? Because it's like never happened, like, ever. So we don't understand how that works. So the idea, and I think people are getting it now, especially after 2020, our thoughts do matter. And that's something, I do teach and I do coach, my clients with this, is that, mindset is everything. And even at first, because it is, at first, it's going to be just for you. even just when, we don't think about it, we say like, oh, I'm such an idiot, I should have known that. Like, if you haven't done the work to understand that you're really not an idiot, like, that's very damaging. And we don't see that really. It's just kind of a little tiny things over time, right? And you see how much you really put yourself down. So if you get to that place where you're working on this, you're like, wow, like I'm terrible to myself. So it really does matter. And so if you clicked on this video and you're here, by the way, kudos to you, pat on the back, because this is a hard one for women to really like reconcile. I don't know if that's the right word. It's the word they want me to use. Because you can get to a point, I think, where you're very acceptant of your body. We're getting to a place with that, right? You see a lot more of the plus size models, right? Or, in Hollywood, or, in modeling campaign, or, like clothing campaigns and all that kind of stuff. So, we're doing some good work there. But what our bodies go through, gender females, is still very like taboo. Like, don't talk about it. It sucks. Like, it's the worst week every month, right? Like, we can't, and it's really bad, right? So for all this other work you might do, putting your body down in that way is big for women, because that is really the source of our power. Okay. Depending on how long you've been following me, or even if it's just recently, you've seen me starting to put some videos up about that kind of thing. I did the vaginal de-armoring PS, so you can go check that out on my channel. And you guys are going to see that a lot. I go down these little like rabbit holes. I start channeling, and it's like, what happened? It's still very taboo, of course. And so let's see if I can get back on track here, right? Source of our power. I'm sorry. Because that is where, so there's actually a couple of chakras here. I'm gonna go a little Eastern medicine here on you guys. That is where your sacral chakra is, but that's also where your womb chakra is, which is a little bit different. I won't go into all of that. You can do some research on that, of that on your own. But that really is the seat of our power. And so even for men, when you're creating from that center, the ideas in the fire in the belly, the creative power, is your feminine energy. The doing it, the bringing it to fruition, is the masculine energy. But the brainstorming and all that is the feminine. It's all in us, right? So, but the womb space is, depending on how deep you guys want me to go with this, it's a portal. Whether you choose to have kids or not, you bring things into this world through this space. So even if you don't bring a human child into the world, anything you create is from here. So you can trace a lot of stuff back to your mindset on your womb space. So, and I mean, even super successful women, right? Like, at some point, a lot of them get to a place where they're stuck, nothing feels right anymore. And it's probably because they need to reconcile with that. So how do we do that? So once again, this is one of those processes I have found with a journey like this, for women. So whether you identify as a woman or not, or even if you were born gender female, it's a slow process for us. It's naturally slow. It's just a naturally slow process for us to heal these things just because of how ingrained they've been, literally for thousands of years. So where you start will really just depend on your journey. So this is not like you need to start here. Honestly, you start wherever spirit tells you to start, okay, or wherever you feel you should start. A place where I started though was I really started, I think, when I was actually on a period, and I just started speaking just really kind words and affirmations to that whole space, to my womb space. I'm grateful for this process, and just really loving words. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but just think of something that's just, if you were trying to cheer up a friend or just trying to show a friend or family member that you were going to be, you're going to be there for them. Think of it that way. When you're just like, wow, you've been through a lot. How would you speak to them? And that's really what I would encourage you to do for that. And so if you're not on your period and you want to start this, go ahead and start. Just be, you're grateful for this, you're grateful for the process. Again, even if you don't want to have kids, I would still say it in that way, because most women are gonna have one anyways. And so be grateful for the other women that do want to do that, right? We're all sisters, we're all a collective. When you heal something, you heal me, you heal everybody else. So still be grateful that you do have the opportunity, even though that's not the path that you're choosing, okay? Which is a whole other video, to be honest. But a good place to start, no matter whether you want to do it for a body system thing, an energetic thing, words of affirmations, or affirmations, just really, really kind words to that space. And I'm talking even on a bad day, that's when you really need it most. So I would say when you want to curse the hell out of this and you're curled up in the fetal position in pain, that's when you really, really need to be diligent about it. And if you don't feel it at first, it's okay. Like again, like I said, it's going to be a slow process, and you just keep up with it, right? And we don't I was gonna say, we don't really have the opportunity to do it a lot because it's only about a week or so for most women. But that's why you really just keep up with it. So it might change when you're done, right? Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for taking care of me. I'm grateful for this process. Yada, yada, yada. So whatever feels right for you. And that's really where it starts. And let me tell you what can come out of that, by the way. If you're starting to do any kind of healing work on your womb space, so I'm trying to figure out how I wanted to say this. Just listening to what she has to say. I know that sounds so insane, right? So if you're kind of starting out on this, you're like, what crazy is she talking about? But that I'll get into some more videos with that. But really learning to listen to that part of you is really, really important, especially for this, because the act of menstruation is a violent one, right? So really learning the lesson of it and from it is super, super important. And I found that when the pain was worse certain months than other months, it was usually because I wasn't listening to myself, and not just like my heart my higher self necessarily, but my womb space. And I had neglected that for a long time, and it was when I had a really, really bad one, because I have fibroids, by the way, and so usually I only get like one day of really bad pain now, because I've done a lot of that work, and some other physical stuff. But I had like one where it was almost like 5 days, like every day, and I was like, what is going on, right? And so I followed the breadcrumbs. I went down the path, and I just really hadn't listened to her at all. And again, that's kind of a woman thing, right? Like, look nice and, shut up kind of thing, right? So I found that when there was a buildup there of energy, really, and just sit there and listen, and you ain't got to write it down, unless you want to, unless that's your thing. But just taking the time to sit there and listen. I like putting my hands on my belly. That helps me channel and kind of connect. Just seeing what she has to say, because there is a ton of wisdom sitting right there, for you to get. And so if you're also trying to kind of figure out who you connect to, so like if God isn't your jam, totally cool. This is an excellent place to really start to, because that's going to be the seat of the goddess. And so, ooh, tinglies, ooh, they like that. I believe in them all, by the way. I've seen them all, and they don't give a shit what you believe in, by the way. So if you believe in them, believe in them. And if you don't believe in that guy, they don't care, because they got 10 people that do. Just P.S. They literally don't care. But that's a really great way to connect with the goddess as well. So really just don't even worry about, really? Okay, sorry. You're going to find me sometimes looking at them like, what? There's lots of different things I have found, and I've read books on it too, that are helpful for getting through your moon time, such as, doing as little as possible, just resting, but just speaking words of kindness, of love, affirmations. There's tons of womb healing meditations out there, by the way, on YouTube, so you can I won't say Google that, but search them on there. And I think you'll be, I don't want to say surprised, pleasantly surprised, I guess, of really what comes out of that. I have found they're less painful, because I know that this is what I have to go through every time, and I'm grateful for that, right? Like, I don't have kids yet, but there are tons of women who don't have a normal cycle, or don't have cycles at all, and they don't get this opportunity. And it's still just as important for them to be accepting of that as, the other side, of course. But no matter how weird it is, you get blood on your fingers and it's gross, I get it, right? Like, I still, I'm way more accepting of it now than I used to be, but I get it. It's gross. Nobody wants blood on them for the most part. Like, it's fine. But just being understanding and accepting of the process is going to go such a long way. And I think you're going to find you're going to be grateful for it in the end. I know that sounds so weird to be grateful to be bleeding out of your uterus. But also with that, as you go down this journey and, you get to that part where you're grateful and you're even in awe of it and admiration, you find different ways to connect to your body and how your body works. So again, like I said, when I found, when I'm only having maybe like one day of, pretty bad pain, when I had a day where it was like 3 to 5 days, which wasn't normal for me anymore, I was like, whoa, what is going on? And so so it's like a roadmap, right? Like that's not normal for me, so I can figure out what's going on, right? So it puts you, again, it puts you in control, right? I know control is an illusion, but hopefully if that resonates with you, you understand what I'm saying. And empowers you, I guess I should say. You understand how your body works on all levels, right? Physical body, energetic body, pain body, yada, yada, yada. There's a lot of them. So I hope that was helpful. I went down a little bit of a rabbit hole, but I think you guys got the gist. I'll start doing more of these because this is really, really something. Other than like plant medicine, this is something I'm really, really passionate about, and I want to start conversations about this because I understand you're not just going to bring them up in a casual conversation, but we shouldn't be afraid to talk about this stuff. Like, not even with men. Like, like we really shouldn't. It happens. And if you're not grown up enough to talk about this, guys, what are we doing? Like, we are not adults. so, and I can say that now that I've learned a lot about that stuff. I'm thinking, if you can't talk about stuff with sex, especially, like what you're comfortable with, what you're not comfortable with, the fact that, what happens if I do get pregnant? Bro, like, if you can't talk about this stuff, why are you having sex? Like, you are not an adult. So, and I don't care who says about anything like that. I know it's a process. We're all learning how to get comfortable with stuff, but like, you gotta learn. If you're afraid to know, then maybe you shouldn't be doing this. If you're afraid to ask, you shouldn't be doing this. So, once again, that's a different video. But I hope that was helpful. If you guys have any questions, of course, please leave them in the comments. I'll have my email in the description as well. I'll be honest, I'm learning to check my email all the time now. So probably the better way to get in contact with me is to contact me on my Instagram, which I'll also put in there too. It is EcstaticAlchemy. And DM me there or comment there, something like that. And that's where I'm going to see a lot of the messages more. But I promise I'm going to try and get better about checking my emails. So I think that's it. So yeah, you can follow me on Instagram, talk about all this stuff, talk about a lot of mindset stuff, manifestation, standing up for yourself. And I hope you guys have a lovely, lovely day.